Hello students, so today we will be starting with a new topic. The new topic name is Through the Eyes of the Traveler. This chapter is present in the class 12 book of history theme 2, and today we will be knowing about the travelers that were being discovered during the historical times and also how they have transformed history and what kind of information they have given during their times. So let us begin. Here we will be understanding today about I-Biruni and the Kitab-ul-Hind. You see, Kitab-ul-Hind was actually written by I-Biruni. So what were the contents in the Kitab-ul-Hind? So let us discuss first regarding the I-Biruni. You see, I-Biruni was born in 1973 in Khwarizm in the present-day Uzbekistan. Khwarizm was an important center of the learning, and I-Biruni received the best education available at that time. He was well versed in several languages: Syriac, Arabic, Persian, Hebrew, and Sanskrit. Now here, first comes regarding I-Biruni. I-Biruni was born in Khwarizm. So Khwarizm was the present-day Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan is quite near Afghanistan. And also on the other hand, during that time, Khwarizm was a learning center. It was a learning center, also was known as a training center. So most of the information, if I talk about I-Biruni, he has been getting much more information from the place itself, from Khwarizm itself. As it was the learning center, from there only he became a most famous scholar. Also, on the other hand, he got the best education during that time. As Khwarizm was the learning center during that time, he actually was being provided with the best education during that time. And he used to know several languages. Several languages he used to know. Syriac was there, Hebrew is there, Persian, Arabic, and Sanskrit. So those were the very oldest language during that time. In 1017, when Sultan Muhammad invaded Khwarizm, he took several scholars and poets back to his capital Ghazni. I-Biruni was one of them. He arrived in Ghazni as a hostage where he spent the rest of his life until his death at the age of 70. Now, during 1017, what happened? Sultan Muhammad actually invaded Khwarizm. He actually invaded Khwarizm. During that time, he took along many of the scholars, and one of the scholars was I-Biruni. You see, I-Biruni has no complaint regarding his place where he was to Ghazni. So, Ghazni. Now, if I talk about Sultan Muhammad, during that time he was the emperor of Ghazni. So, during that time only, if I talk about I-Biruni also became one of the most important scholar of Sultan Muhammad during that time in Ghazni, and he has spent most of his life in Ghazni itself up to the age 70. At the age of 70, he died. Also, on the other hand, during that time, most of the emperors used to take much of the information from the scholars itself. They used to keep much of the scholars, much of the poets under them so that they can get particular information and get particular knowledge from the scholars itself. During that time, scholars had high demand in the kingdom of the emperor. Also, you see, it was in Ghazni that I-Biruni developed an interest in India. Sanskrit works on astronomy, mathematics, and medicine, and had been translated into Arabic from 8th century onwards. When the Punjab became a part of the Ghaznavid Empire, contacts with the local population helped create an environment of mutual trust and understanding. He spent in the company of Brahmana priest and scholar, learning Sanskrit and studying religious and philosophical texts. Now, if I talk about I-Biruni was living in Ghazni. From Ghazni itself only, he has took much interest on our country, India. During that time only he came to know a lot about India, and during that time, if I talk about astronomy, medicine, most of the languages were in Sanskrit, and he converted it into the Arabic languages. In the Arabic form, it was being translated during the 8th century. Most of the books during that time on astronomy, mathematics, and medicine were being translated into the Arabic language, first of all. And second of all, when the Punjab became a part of the Ghaznavid Empire, contacts with the local population helped create an environment of mutual trust and understanding. Now, during that time, as the emperor of Ghazni invaded Uzbekistan, also they invaded Punjab. During that time only. I-Biruni had close contacts with the people, with the local population around. During that time also, he has inculcated much knowledge regarding other languages, regarding other knowledge as well. Also, on the other hand, it was a friendship of mutual trust and understanding, which means with the local population, he had mutual trust and understanding. Also, during that time, he spent most of the time with the Brahmana priest. Why he used to spend most of the time with the Brahmana priest? So that he can learn Sanskrit more and other religious texts as well. Travel literature was an accepted part of Arabic literature by the time he wrote. This literature dealt with lands as far apart as the Sahara Desert in the west to the river Volga in the north. Now, if I talk about travel literature, you see he was very much interested in the travel literature that he wrote, and most of them he converted into Arabic language. He used to be very much fond of the Arabic literature. Like for example, one of them is the literature dealt with the Sahara Desert. He has written much of the literature in Arabic, which is very much dealt with the Sahara Desert, which actually crosses the river Volga in the north. So you see, during that time, traveler used to spend much of the time in writing their own literature, in writing their own experiences. Also, on the other hand, we will be understanding about Kitab ul Hind. Now, what do you mean by this book, Kitab ul Hind? You see, I-Biruni's Kitab ul Hind, written in Arabic, is simple and lucid and is a voluminous text divided into 80 chapters on subjects such as religion and philosophy, festival, astronomy, alchemy, manners, and custom. If I talk here about the book Kitab ul Hind, I-Biruni first wrote Kitab ul Hind. In Kitab ul Hind, he has written very much regarding the religion and the philosophy. Also, on the other hand, regarding festivals, regarding astrology, regarding astronomy, also about the manners and custom, which means etiquette, and also about the social life, about the weights and measures and iconography, laws and meteorology. Very, very important. What were the contents inside the Kitab ul Hind? You see, much of the very information are there under the Kitab ul Hind, and this is one of the most voluminous texts. This is one of the voluminous texts. Also, on the other hand, most of the language is written in a very simple way so that people can understand. So there are much of the contents under Kitab ul Hind, first of all. And second of all, I-Biruni adopted a distinctive structure in each chapter, beginning with a question, that this up with a description based on Sanskritic tradition and concluding with a comparison with other culture. Now, in the Kitab ul Hind, what was the structure? First of all, he will be first posing a question. A question will be coming, and slowly it will be following with the religious text, with the description of the religious text. And also, it is based on Sanskritic tradition and concluding with comparison to the other culture. Now, in the religious text, there are some of the parts regarding to Sanskritic tradition, and it will be concluding with the comparison with other cultures. So, in this way only, he has written the book, first of all. And some present-day scholars have argued that this almost geometric structure, remarkable for its precision and predictability, owed much to his mathematical orientation. Now, during that time, scholars were known to be very much of the intelligent kind. So, as a result, the geometric structure, some of the parts in the book is related to the geometric structure, which is very much remarkable, first of all. And second of all, it is being presented with precision and predictability. It is being presented with precision and predictability and owed much to the mathematical orientation, which means much of the mathematical orientation is also being represented in the book. You see how the book is very much of an original kind. I-Biruni, who wrote in Arabic, probably intended his work for people living along the frontiers of the subcontinent. He was familiar with translation and adaptation of the Sanskrit, Pali, and Prakrit texts into Arabic. This ranged from fables to work on astronomy and medicine. You see, in Kitab ul Hind, he has mostly dealt with medicine and astronomy. He has dealt with medicine and astronomy, and most of the languages which are in Sanskrit, Pali, or Prakrit, they were being transferred into Arabic language. He was very much interested in the Arabic literature. So, first of all, first characteristic regarding the Kitab ul Hind comes, it is being written in the Arabic language, and there are total 80 chapters. Very, very important. There are total 80 chapters on the subjects regarded to the festival, astronomy, alchemy, religion and philosophy, manners, customs, social life, weights and measures, iconography, laws and meteorology. This is the first characteristic. Second comes, I-Biruni has a distinctive structure in the book. What is the distinctive structure? First, it comes with a question that is followed by a description based on Sanskritic tradition, and it is being concluded by comparison with the other cultures. And also, it is being argued regarding the geometric structure, which is remarkable for its precision and predictability, and is much owed to the mathematical orientation. And third characteristic comes regarding I-Biruni, which all of his work, which is being written in Sanskrit, Pali and Prakrit, are being translated into Arabic language. And also, he was very much familiar with the Arabic literature, means most of the works were being translated into Arabic language, and most of them he dealt with astronomy and medicine. I hope so you have understood regarding Kitabul Hind, and now you see this is the portrait of I-Baruni. This is one of the portrait of I-Baruni. Now no one knows how I-Baruni looked like, but this is one of the portrait that was being uh, like created by other artists. So this is one of the portrait of I-Baruni. So you had a look regarding I-Baruni and Kitabul Hind, and now we will be understanding about the second traveler or the second scholar, Ibn Battuta, and his book Rila, also known as Ibn Battuta. Some call it as Ibn Battuta or Ibn Battuta, and his book Rila. So here we will be knowing about Ibn Battuta book of travels called Rila, written in Arabic, provides extremely rich and interesting details about the social and cultural life in the subcontinent in the 14th century. This Moroccan traveler was born in Tangier into one of the most respectable and educated family known for their expertise in Islamic religious law or Sharia. True to the tradition of his family, Ibn Battuta received literary and scholastic education when he was quite young. Now, Ibn Battuta's book of travels are known as Rila, first of all, and it is one of the most rich, interesting and adventurous book that was being written by him. He was born in a very educated family, in a very good family, first of all, and he was born in Tangier. He was born in Tangier in one of the most respectable family, and he was very much expert in the Islamic law or known as Sharia. He was very much an expertise in the Islamic law or known as Sharia, and he was very much true to his tradition of his family, which means he was born in a very conservative family who was very much true to his family tradition. Ibn Battuta received literary and scholastic education when he was very young. From the very young only, he has received scholastic education. Ibn Battuta considered experience gained through travels to be more important source of knowledge than books. He just loved traveling and went to far off places, exploring new worlds and people. Before he set off for India in 1332-33, he had made pilgrimage trips to Mecca and had already traveled extensively in Syria, Iraq, Persia, Yemen and Oman, and had a few trading posts on the coast of East Africa. Now, if I talk about Ibn Battuta, first of all, he discovered that experience is much more important than knowledge. Bookish knowledge is not very much important for him, but experience is very much important. So as a result, he has traveled in a lot of places. So first he came to India in 1332 to 1333. He first traveled India, and before traveling India, he had made pilgrimage where to Mecca, and had already extensively traveled in Syria, Iraq, Persia, Yemen, and Oman, which means in the Middle East countries he had traveled a lot, and also in the other trading ports as well, so that he can understand the knowledge, he can inculcate more knowledge. Before traveling to India, he has traveled in lot of the Middle East countries. Also, traveling overland through Central Asia, Ibn Battuta reached Sindh in 1333. He had heard about Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the Sultan of Delhi, and lured by his reputation as a generous patron of arts and letters, set off for Delhi, passing through Multan and Uch. The Sultan was impressed by his scholarship and appointed him as the Qazi or judge of Delhi. You see, he was very much interested in traveling, first of all, and second of all, he then went to Central Asia. Ibn Battuta then traveled to Central Asia. That time he heard about Muhammad bin Tughlaq. You see, during that time, Muhammad bin Tughlaq was one of the most powerful emperors, and that powerful emperor was very much interested in arts and literature. The emperor was very much interested in arts and literature. For that reason only, Ibn Battuta was very much impressed of him. Also, on the other hand, when he went to Delhi. He went to Delhi by passing Uch and Multan. Uch and Multan were the most particular states during that time. That time only what had happened during 1333 when Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq actually met Ibn Battuta. He was very much interested by his scholastic knowledge. He was very much impressed by his scholastic knowledge. As a result, during that time he was appointed. Ibn Battuta was appointed as the Qazi or judge of his court. Ibn Battuta was ordered to visit China. He first travelled to Malabar and then to Maldives, when he stayed for 18 months as a Qazi, but eventually decided to proceed Sri Lanka. Now, if I talk about Ibn Battuta had an order to visit China. Before visiting China, he first traveled to Malabar and Maldives. You see, he was very much interested in traveling. So as a result, first he visited to Malabar and then to Maldives. And then he stayed for 18 months as a Qazi, and then he proceeded to Sri Lanka. You see where. Yes, he first traveled to Malabar and then to Maldives. In Maldives only for 18 months, he was being appointed as the Qazi. He was being appointed as the Qazi in Maldives itself, and then he proceeded to Sri Lanka before coming to China itself. Actually, he was being ordered to visit China, but he traveled other places. Now, what are the other places are there? The Malabar, the Maldives. In Maldives, he was being appointed as a judge for 18 months, and then he went to Sri Lanka, which means he traveled in so many places for inculcating knowledge. He then went once more to Malabar coast and the Maldives before resuming his mission to China and visited Bengal and Assam as well. He traveled extensively in China, going as far as Beijing and then returned home in 1347. Now, you see, before visiting China, he then again went to Malabar, again went to Maldives, and then again he reached China. You see, he had a mission in China. Afterwards, only he continued his mission in China. Then in China itself only, after going to China, he went to Assam as well, he went to West Bengal as well. You see how an intense traveler he was. And extensively when he traveled in parts of Assam, in parts of West Bengal and also in China, afterwards he returned in his home country in the year 1347. In the year 1347 in Tangier, he was actually being returned in the year 1347. You see, he also went to Beijing. You see, first he went to Malabar coast and then Maldives and then he returned to China for a mission. There also he visited Bengal and Assam, and then after visiting Bengal and Assam, he went to Beijing. During that time also, Beijing was one of the most important trading center in China. And then he returned home in Tangier in the year 1347. Ivan Batuta meticulously recorded his observation about new cultures, people, beliefs, values, etc. He was often being compared to Marco Polo, who visited China from his home base in Venice in the late 13th century. Now, if I talk about Ivan Batuta, through his experiences, through his observation only, he has written so many books and also he has inculcated so many knowledge. He was also being compared to Marco Polo. You see, Marco Polo was also the most important traveler during that time. Marco Polo was also the most important traveler during that time who visited to China from his home country Venice. Now, if I talk about Ivan Batuta actually used to belong from Tangier. From Tangier he used to belong, but Marco Polo used to belong from Venice during the 13th century. So here there is one of the portrait of Ivan Batuta. You can see this is this is one of the painting of the portrait of Ivan Batuta, how he looked like. I hope so you have understood regarding this chapter, and if you want to know any of the courses regarding our institute, then you can contact us in this number 86383 91721, and thank you for watching my video.